human culture is equally unique and equally precious. They treated each Indian culture, however materially puny and tiny its population, as profoundly valuable because a singular, original human achievement. This view put them in opposition to modernist celebrations of abstract primitivism and Freudian claims for metacultural psychological universals, and it even challenged self-justifications of United States expansionism, such as the ideal of an American melting pot. By the late 1950s, greater appreciation for the value of diverse lifestyles had made people increasingly sympathetic to this oppositional orientation of American anthropology. Anthropologists were also becoming more concerned with the deplorable condition of native peoples resulting from persistent injustices practiced against them by whites. Of particular relevance to Ishi in Two Worlds were the California Indian Land Claims Commission hearings in the mid-1950s. The Indians won this legal fight, although they were inadequately recompensed financially, proving that their right to California lands had been unjustly violated, and in following decades they successfully prosecuted other land claims through American courts. Theodora Kroeber's husband, Alfred Kroeber, as the leading authority on traditional California Indian cultural history, was asked to appear as an expert witness for the federal government against the native claimants. He chose instead to testify at length for the Indians. His effectiveness as a witness for the Indians, however, depended upon his extraordinary knowledge of their past history, which had been the principal focus of his work. Theodora began writing Ishi in Two Worlds in the wake of the Land Claims Commission hearings at the urging of Robert Heiser, who had worked closely with Kroeber in preparing his testimony. Theodora became absorbed in trying to recover something of the uniqueness of Ishi's personality. But her long acquaintance with anthropology reinforced her sensitivity to how individuality is always realized through interaction with historically shaped social conditions. And when she examined the circumstances into which Ishi had been born and how his people had been treated when he was a growing child, she was horrified. When she wrote this book, there were few popular accounts of the extermination of native peoples, and her story of the killing of the Yahi remains one of the most damning histories of these slaughters, in part because she avoids abstract words such as genocide. She keeps the story agonizingly particular. She never lets us conceal from ourselves by generalized terms the primary horror of such events, which is the robbing and murdering and torturing of individual human beings. The immediate success of her book is closely linked to the emergence at the beginning of the 1960s of popular revulsion against such brutalities of ethnic prejudice, feelings that helped to shape, for example, the emerging civil rights movement. But the book is free from ideological didacticism. It concentrates on the man's personality, displaying, for example, informed sympathy for Ishi's intimate connection to the land his people inhabited. Theodora knew the country firsthand, having come from a family of miners, ranchers, farmers, and shopkeepers who in one fashion or another had lived in intimate contact with the land of the western United States. Her account of Ishi's life of concealment, a necessarily imaginative reconstruction, carries conviction because her experience included long acquaintance with a natural world that is no mere refuge from urbanization, not a place to be visited briefly as the spectator of an Indian ceremony, but a complicated environment within which one continuously works and lives, and which over time even shapes how one dreams and imagines. Moreover, she knew the white exterminators firsthand. Her family background